Okay, let's talk about some dialogue for recruiting. First of all, let me talk to you about why it's so important. And I know I haven't gotten into a lot of the benefits for you in each of these things because I want to fit in a lot of dialogue, but hopefully you do get it. However, I got to be really specific here. The fact of the matter is, some will, some won't, so what, who's next? That's true for recruiting. It's also true for bringing people onto your team. You are going to have people coming and people going, and you have to know that you are getting them to replace themselves within their first 10 shows. If they replace themselves within their first 10 shows, a couple of things are going to happen. You have a much better chance of keeping her because she has an investment in this now because she has her own recruits. Also, you have a chance for her to keep listening to you about recruiting in the future. So, if you don't talk about recruiting with her and she does not replace herself within the first 10 shows, when she starts going to do her first couple of shows and she maybe doesn't get bookings or she isn't having as good a sales as she wants to have, it doesn't matter what you say about recruiting. She's not going to bring anybody else in to join this business. So I can give you the words to help you with this recruiting. I'm going to give you a few of them here right now, but you have to make that commitment that you are not going to make a cultural decision that you're going to work with girls on bookings and sales and then you'll get them to recruit, because you just have to trust me. After 31 years in the business, it doesn't happen. We have all kinds of people that are lousy at stuff and they're great recruiters, and we have people who become great beauty consultants and never recruit. So you've got to do it all at once, and your job is to build your business through recruits. You can't do it all yourself, so it's got to be getting a debut from a debut. So the first step in this is the debut. Do you really, honest to goodness, know how the debuts are looking with every new beauty consultant coming up on your staff? Have you talked to her about her recruit leads? Have you talked to her about finding a recruit lead and bringing that recruit lead with her to training or to view your show? Have you talked to her about the raises and what's in it for her when she recruits? If you're going to do staff gifts, you should be doing something for recruiting, because that's what's going to pay you and help you to grow. So have you been focused on getting a recruit from a recruit? When you're talking to somebody about their debut show, you want to be asking them about their guest attendance, who's not coming, did you ask each of those people to join you in the business? And if she says, well, no, not yet, then say, okay, listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to call them back, and whether they booked or they bought or they didn't, I'm going to give you the words to ask them about the opportunity and possibly even recommend somebody. Will you do this? Now, she might say, well, I don't feel like calling them back, and say, well, listen, let me tell you why. Because we want to get you into the right habits right from the beginning. And we want you to do all the right things with your family and friends so that regardless of what happens, you can move on and never have to go back and ask them later. Or never have them say that you didn't give them a chance. So let's go back and make sure you've done that, because I want you on track for your raises as fast as possible. You want to make the most amount of money for the time you're out there. And you can do this also in question form. You can say, how much money do you want to make on an average per night? If you could make an extra $10 an hour more, would you want to? Okay, well, that's what I'm talking about here. And of course, if somebody says, well, I thought I would start asking people once I got good at this, you need to be able to overcome that objection. That's just like an objection at your show. One of the things I like to say to people is, okay, when do you think that would be? Remember, it's just like in a show when you say, sure you can, it's just that. Never make them wrong. You can do that, Carol, but let me just ask you, when do you think that'd be? When do you think you'd be good enough in your own mind that you'd be willing to let other people have this opportunity? And then, of course, you can nip it in the bud and say, I know you don't want to hold anybody back. And I want to share with you that I always wanted to recruit people that were even better than me. And what is it that you're afraid you would have to do with them that you couldn't recruit them right now? And be sure that you let her know. Her responsibility is just to give people the opportunity. She doesn't have to manage them or train them. Okay, now let's say she's going out to do her first show. You need to be sure that you have directed her bookings. All these dialogues are going to overlap a little bit here. But did you ask her which night she picked out that she was absolutely for sure going to book? And then you want to say, tell me a little bit about your hostess. What did she say when you asked her to do this? Now she might say, well, I haven't. Say, oh, okay, well, tonight when you're at the show, let me give you a tip. And then when you get the report back from her, if she doesn't say a recruit lead, then you want to always write back, and what about recruit leads? Or how did it go with recruiting? Because what you get in the habit of doing, she will want to give you feedback on. So right from the first show, you want to say, how did your recruiting talk go? What did the hostess say when you asked her about turning the show into her debut show? How did it go with the women? Did you ask everybody? Now, always let people know that they can tell you the truth, that you're here to help them and guide them. If you get anybody being really defensive about you asking them about it, what I typically will do is I'll say, Denise, I kind of feel like there's a little bit of tension here on the phone. And maybe I'm coming across, in a way that's making you feel defensive. I'm not sure. But this Alouette is really about building you up and helping you to be successful. I'm not here to make you wrong. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I'm here to help you be successful. Is there something holding you back? Because lots of times in people's other jobs or with their families or whatever, they've always felt like they've been condemned. So be sure she's not feeling that way with you. And again, you're going to deal with the same objections. Oh, I don't know if my recruiting talk's any good, or I was going to work on that later. You have to sell her on doing it now. How can you benefit? The raises, the trips. Another thing is it's much easier to be queen of recruiting than it is to be queen of sales. And I always say to people, listen, I know you think it makes sense, but imagine learning the show, getting it down pat, and then trying to add recruiting to it. It'll be like starting all over again. Let's do this the easy way. Let's master all of it all together. And I'm going to help you. You don't have to have perfect words. That's what I'm going to be there for. So be sure that you're focused on recruiting and you're excited about it. Now, when she says, I have a recruit lead, then you want to say, yahoo, way to go. I'm so proud of you. Tell me when her show is booked for. Oh, she hasn't booked a show. Okay, tell me why you think she's a recruit lead. This is very, very important. Tell me why you think she's a recruit lead. And if you get an email back saying, I just think she'd be great at this, then you need to ask, did you ask her? What did she say? What's the next step going to be? Or what is her objection? And then again, you want to follow up with, this is all part of me helping you to be a great recruiter. And it doesn't take long to learn the fundamentals. You've got to make an investment as a manager in these kind of conversations with new people, because you won't have to keep doing them once you get them on board with it. You'll just have to remind people periodically. But if you don't have these conversations, you're going to be going from month to month to month, hoping to qualify, wondering why you're not growing as fast as somebody else is, or you're going to be spending time on the wrong things. New people are what give you the energy and excitement to keep going as a manager in the business. New people give other people on the staff that energy and excitement to keep going in the business. Now, here's a phrase that I hate hearing from managers that they say to their beauty consultants. This phrase right here. Oh, let me tell you what I do. Okay? That's for later when you're maybe helping her to master her performance and use her personality. But it still shouldn't be that. It still should be, let me share something with you that you may find would work for you. Okay, it should still be about you. But when you start right at the gate saying, let me tell you what I do, it makes her think that there's multiple ways to do this, and she's not going to feel confident, and she's not going to think she can do it. She's going to think that when there's results, it's based on luck, and there's no such thing as luck. Okay, what's another way that you can use the recruiting dialogue? Well, you should be keeping track of your totals, like I've mentioned in other videos. So you can look at the end of the week, and let's say somebody had 2 shows that they held, and they met 14 people. Well, that's not 1 in 42 yet. She's not at 42 yet, but you should have already had conversations with her. But now we're 2 or 3 weeks into her month, and you realize she's met 60 people, and there's been no recruits. You can praise her on everything that you can praise her on with her numbers, and then say, but you know what I was looking at? I was going through your numbers, and I noticed that you've already met 65 people. Can you believe it? I realize some of those people are probably repeats at the shows. But the average with recruiting is about 1 in 42. And we haven't had a recruit lead yet. So you're either really, really due, or we have to figure out what's not happening to create desire. Tell me something. When you do your recruiting talk, what do you think is happening at the show? Are people's eyes glassing over, or do you find some people are interested? Now, to fix recruiting, what are you going to do? Well, it's like training with everything else. You tell them, then you show them, then you watch them. So we tell them with what? With our videos, with the show. You show them with our videos in the show, and watching them means you ask her, tell me your recruiting talk. Tell me how you asked everybody last night, Mary. What did you say then? That way you're going to get more specific information that you can praise her on, but also find out what she's doing wrong and nip it in the bud just like that. Don't make this complicated. Keep it simple, sweetie. But if you're not focused on recruiting, you're not going to grow. It's just that simple. If you've had a month where your staff has had no kits released, you're going down. You're going down. It's just, you know what? It's not personal. It's not, oh my gosh, this isn't working. It's, oh gosh, I'm tired and frustrated. It's just work the system. Keep it simple. You would do it if you were getting paid minimum wage in any other job. Do it for yourself here.